All right, for more on this, let's bring in Tarik Oguzlu, who joins me now live from Istanbul. He's a professor of international relations over at Istanbul Aydin University. Tarik, good to have you on the show. In all fairness, the statement that I just read out from Ulf Kristersson was from a couple of days ago. But you may remember when he came to Turkiye a couple of months ago, there was an understanding that the new Swedish government would be taking things in a much more serious matter, and that Ankara was slightly encouraged by this. Do you feel that what happened today puts that into question?
Exactly. This is gonna be the case in the next couple of weeks, actually, because Turkish governments will find it quite difficult to ratify. The Turkish parliament will find it quite difficult to ratify the accession treaty because the degree of Turkish nationalism is very high on this issue. Turkey is very sensitive and keen on this issue. This is one of the most important demands for Turkish government on Swedish authorities. So they should ban all kinds of PKK-related activities in Swedish territories. Otherwise, Sweden would do much better to forget the membership in NATO, because as you have just pointed out, Turkey is a member of the alliance since 1952. So all prospective members, would-be members, will have to comply with the terms of remaining members. So this is one of the cardinal rules of international politics. Mm-hmm. If you want to join an international organization, so you have to be on good terms with the existing members. And we have also observed that since last June, Turkey, Sweden, and Finland have been talking to each other in terms of finding the right solution to this problem. As you have just pointed out, some positive developments have already been undertaken throughout this process. But I think this latest episode in Swedish capital will put this ongoing talking process into a crisis situation. Because Turkish authorities will find it difficult to understand how committed the Swedish authorities to the kind of promises they had already made to their Turkish counterparts in last June Madrid. So this is going to be extremely difficult for Turkey to give the green light, let me put it this way.
All right, we'll talk about how that green light, if it turns green or if it stays red or amber in just a bit. But you talked about that there have been some positive developments. I'm assuming you are alluding to the fact that just over a month ago that Sweden actually extradited a convicted member of the PKK to Turkiye. Do you feel that perhaps that Turkiye's requests have fallen on deaf ears, looking at what has happened today?
Exactly, this is the kind of feeling I have regarding this latest situation. But we should not forget the fact that the question is not only the Swedish government extraditing this PKK terrorist to Turkey, but we have another terrorist organization which we deem as FETÖ. So FETÖ has also some very important figures in Sweden. So Swedish government is also expected to give those suspected people to Turkish government. So we have to approach this problem from this particular perspective. It's not only about a kind of Turkish demand on PKK, but Turkish demand on FETÖ is also very important, and that needs to be taken into account seriously. But leave aside for a while this FETÖ activity, just focus attention on this PKK presence. So these pictures it clearly demonstrate that the Swedish government has not done everything which it could have done in order to make sure that they comply with this Turkish demands and preoccupations, considerations. So how come that? How serious you are in such a way to mollify Turkey in this particular sense? And these pictures will make it quite difficult. It is without any hesitation, because we are in the middle of a political election season, you know it, and everything will become much harder for the Turkish government from this time on.
Help our international viewers understand some of the nuances when it comes to Turkey's national security concerns. There are a number of organizations that Turkey has classified. Its state's position is that these groups are terrorist organizations, and they have relayed this to these Nordic countries, Finland and Sweden. So there's the PKK, there's the PKK offshoot in Syria, the YPG, as well as FETÖ. Which do you think is the most serious challenge for the Nordic countries, particularly Sweden, in terms of addressing Turkey's national security concerns?
Actually, we should put PKK, YPG, and PYD in the same baskets, it is not that much easier to separate these organizations from each other. We have been claiming for some time that these Kurdish groups, which are quite active in North Syria, are affiliates of PKK here in Turkey. Even this has been very much recognized by international authorities as well. But we should also underline that Turkey is very keen on FETÖ and very keen on PKK. Both Turkish government treat both those organizations as terrorist organizations. But let me also add another point. These pictures now you air on your screens demonstrated that Swedish government will also find it difficult to mollify the concerns of the people who took refuge in Swedish territories in the past, because Swedish people are also quite sensitive on this issue. They think that the Swedish government should not comply with the terms of the Turkish government in such a way to make sure that Sweden takes the ticket to NATO. So Swedish government has lots of things to do at home as well. The question is not only to make Turkey feel happy, but also to help convince the skeptical Swedish people to the idea that Sweden needs to extradite these people to Turkey. Otherwise, Sweden will never join NATO in the near future.
And that is the main message that was given by Turkiye's communications director, Fatih Altun. Let me just actually pull up his tweet just one more time and go over it. There's a couple of things I want to ask you. Specifically, he says Sweden needs to keep the promise which it made in Madrid to join NATO, of which Turkey has been a member for 70 years. It would be futile to expect Turkey to make any concessions in that regard. It's just sort of one line from there. Coming back to you, the fact is that this attack, that this rally, that this display has already happened in Stockholm. I'm wondering if the position that the Swedish government, the manner in which the Swedish government actually takes from now on is going to determine the atmosphere between the two countries when it comes to progressing with this memorandum of understanding. Do you feel that it's going to rock the boat? Is it a bad omen?
I have the same feeling, actually. This is going to be a kind of litmus test for how committed Sweden to the promises it had given to Turkey in the past. So if they don't take any clear and precise action to make sure that such kind of developments do never occur in Swedish territories, they should really forget about Turkey giving the green light to their membership. And this kind of thing should never repeat itself. Maybe just because of this latest event, Turkish and Swedish authorities will talk to each other again, will try to find a way to get rid of this problem, this particular problem. But if such kind of things repeat itself in the coming months, it is going to be extremely difficult, if not totally impossible, to see that Sweden joins the club, NATO.
I try to describe it as a bad omen. And the reason why I did that is because I want to bring up my final point to you, Tarik. Just a couple of days ago, we know that Sweden actually entered into negotiations with the United States in terms of forming a bilateral defense agreement. I'm wondering if there's a position inside the Swedish government saying, all right, it doesn't matter how hard we try, it doesn't matter how loud we bark, how high we jump, the Turks are never going to let us into NATO, so let us go into our own agreement with the United States. Do you feel that the Swedes could be taking that position?
I think that is that's an excellent point. Let me underline it very clearly. But we should also not forget the fact that for some time, Sweden has already become a member of NATO de facto. It has not joined the club de jure, but it has been a member of NATO de facto because the degree of strategic defense cooperation between Sweden on one side and United States and also other members of NATO on the other side have improved a lot in recent years. So even some members of NATO have already promised that if there is going to be an attack on Sweden, NATO members will come to its aid. So we should also underline these points as well. Maybe they have already bought this idea. Forget about Turkey's potential green light to our membership. Just focus our attention on the strong strategic cooperation with the United States and other members of NATO. We will see it. We will see it. But even if this is going to be the case, Turkish government will not feel quite happy with that actually, because this very much concerns the kind of multilateral relationship going on within the alliance. So Turkish government, Turkey itself, might feel itself a little bit alienated or discriminated against. If United States and Sweden intensify their strategic cooperation agreement in the years to come, irrespective of the fact that Sweden joins the union or not. So this is another issue that we have to deal with seriously, actually. But for the time being, I think, as you have just pointed out, Swedish authorities have already come to the conclusion that irrespective of how Turkey would respond to our NATO membership bid, so we have to intensify our own strategic relationship with the United States. Maybe they have come to this conclusion. We have to wait and see how it evolves.
Okay. Tarik Oguzlu, pleasure talking to you. Thanks for joining us here on the NewsHour. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.